Hello, lovely people. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Raina Reads Stuff. I'm Debs. I have a confession. So far in 2025, and bear in mind, we're not even a quarter of the way through yet, I am behind on my book tags to the extent that I have 12 outstanding. So today, I'm going to cheat. Today, I am going to smash 2 book tags together for one video, and then I'm going to do another one, which I'll publish later. I'm sorry, what can I say? I am just determined not to be completely overwhelmed by book tags. So, the one I'm going to do now is the 2 smashed together. I'm going to do the audiobook tag, which was originally created by BookBuds, and I was tagged by Alan at Alan Reads. And then I am going to do the Honest Booktuber tag, which was originally created by Harriet Rosie 13, and I was tagged by Mark at The Book Thing. I don't know whether I've done this one before, but hey, it's on my list. I'm doing it again if I have done it before. And the answers will probably be completely different. Who knows? Anyway, let's start with the audiobook tags. Once again, originally by BookBuds, I was tagged by Alan at Alan's Reads. Number 1. This has 7 prompts and a bonus. So, number 1, do you listen to audiobooks? Yes, I do. Number 2, has your use of audiobooks changed over time, and in what way? So, yes, it has changed over time. I did not listen to audiobooks before I joined BookTube. I've been on BookTube about 20 months, something like that. So, last year, for a period of about 7 months, I drove down to my daughter's house in the middle of the week, stayed there for a couple of days, babysat my grandson while she went back to work before he qualified for nursery. So, yeah, he was very young. It's 150 miles. Averagely, it takes me 3 to 3.5 hours to drive it. And so I started listening to audiobooks because a lot of people on BookTube raved about them. And I really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed listening to them. So the change has been, I didn't read audiobooks and now I do. Without having that drive to do anymore, and I stopped doing that in September last year, fitting audiobooks in is quite difficult because actually that's another question. So we'll leave that one there. Number 3. How do you choose whether you read or listen? I have an Audible subscription, and whether I read or listen entirely depends on whether I found anything I like on Audible. Mostly I read. But there's been a couple of gems on Audible that I couldn't resist. I also like to get the best value for money, so I tend to get audiobooks that are several books in one. For example, I got the complete set of the Inspector Grant stories by Josephine Tay. So I don't tend to get just one book with my Audible subscription. That said, I have done that this time, with the one I'm listening to at the moment, because I needed it for an event. Number 4, do you look into narrators or do you go in blind? I think what persuades me the most is the book rather than the narrator. There's been a couple of narrators that have irritated me no end. But yeah, I choose by the book, not by the narrator. Do you multitask while you're audiobooking? This goes back to the last one that I didn't quite finish. Yes, I multitask. I have to multitask because if I'm just sitting in a chair listening to a book, I will fall asleep. So it's things like housework, or if I'm going off for a walk, if I'm in the car and I'm on my own in the car, it's very unfair to inflict an audiobook that I'm midway through on somebody else. The other thing I do is I play Xbox games that have no speech in them and listen to an audiobook at the same time. Question 6. If you're reading a series, would you switch from, if you'd read the first book on audio, would you switch to read the others? Yeah, I've got no problem with that. If I want to read the rest of the series and I find them in hard copy, fine. Other than my audio subscription, I am very unlikely to purchase audiobooks. Question number 7. What % of books that you are consuming are audiobooks? I'm going to estimate about 2%. I doubt very much whether I get through more than 12 to 15 audiobooks a year. Probably not 15, actually. Yeah, if I consume one a month, I think that's probably going to be about the limit. And the bonus question, do you have a favourite narrator? I have really enjoyed Stephen Fry's narration of P.G. Woodhouse's Jeeves and Wooster books, and one of the best audiobook experiences I had last year was True Grit by Charles Portis, which was narrated by Donna Tartt, and she did an absolutely brilliant job of it. I can highly recommend that. That's it for the audiobook tag. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, BookBuds. Now we are going to move on to the Honest Booktuber tag. There are 10 questions on this one. Have you ever lied about reading a book? No. What's the point? You're only lying to yourself, aren't you, really? Have you ever avoided a book because of controversy around the content / author? No. I say no. I can remember when my daughters were in their early 20s, and they're now in their early to mid 30s, they were both reading 50 Shades of Grey. And they happened to be discussing it, and I said, I wouldn't mind reading that after you. And they both looked at me and said, no. And I said to them, you are aware, aren't you, that I have had sex? And they said, it's not that. It's that this book is so badly written, we can't bear to listen to you moaning about it. So I was forced to avoid a book because my daughters didn't think very much of it. But now I'll read anything, really. Have you ever been sent a book for free and not disclosed it? No, I haven't. In fact, other than people gifting me books, which isn't the same, The first time I was sent a book for free was this week. And out of the blue, a colleague I worked with about 15 years ago, maybe, contacted me and said, I've written a book, would you read it? And he'd seen my channel on Facebook where another colleague had shared it. And he self-published this book. And so he sent it to me and I'm going to read it, but I'm disclosing it already. I wouldn't not disclose it if someone had sent me a book. Have you ever bought a book with no intention of reading it? Is question 4. Yes, I have. Most often when I have read a book on an e-reader of some description, decided I loved it and wanted a hard copy. I don't think there's any other reason. No. Have you ever got caught up in booktube drama? Not really. I'm sort of vague. I'm vaguely aware of some things, but no, not really. Number 6, have you ever gotten a hate comment and how did you respond? I haven't had hate comments. I know people who have had hate comments. I don't like it when my friends have hate comments. It's just completely unnecessary. I've had sneery comments, I suppose. There's one person who put a few snidey comments over a period of time. I just blocked him. Yeah, I mean, they weren't hate comments by any stretch of the imagination. I just thought he was weird and I didn't really have time to entertain him, basically. Question 7. Have you ever made a video just because you knew it would get views? I've got no clue what gets views and no clue what doesn't get views. No, I haven't. I make the videos that I want to make, and they're basically me sitting in a shed chatting about books. I enjoy the responses I get to them. I have made some good friends doing that, and I'm quite happy doing that. If you could go back to the beginning of your channel, would you do anything differently? Probably not. This was always meant to be a slightly light-hearted, have your friends round for coffee and chat about books type video. And I think that's what I've got. And I quite like it. I don't think it's brilliant, but quite like it. I quite like doing this sort of video. I find it much easier to do this sort of video. Question 9. Are there any channels you wish you could be more like? I like lots and lots of different channels, and I love the way different people put different content together. I admire many of them very much. Do I want to be like them? No. And one of the reasons for that is I can't. I can't be like anybody else. I'm just me. And you take it or leave it. That's what you get, I'm afraid. What is something that you love about your channel? I love the fact that there are quite a few people who comment a lot, and you build up a relationship with these people. It's like having your very own book club, and I love that. And that's not about my channel, really. That's just about the people who watch it, who I think are fabulous. Thank you, lovely people. I am not, that's the end. And I'm not going to tag people because Mark, who tagged me in this, excuse me, fully admits that it's taken him 6 months to do it. I should have probably checked whether or not I've done it before, but even if I had, hey. And so I'm not going to tag people. If you'd like to do this tag, be my guest. Thank you for watching. I'm going to be back again in a few hours' time with another one. And that way I'll only have 9 left on my list. Nice to see you. Thank you very much for stopping by, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye for now.